Ever felt that heavy reluctance, that leaden weight in your soul when the thought of prayer arises? It's a feeling many know intimately, the disconnect between knowing you should pray and actually wanting to. It's not a sign of weakness or failing faith. It's a very human experience, often born from the complexities of life, the sting of unanswered prayers, or simply the weariness of the day. We tell ourselves we're too tired, too busy, too distracted, or perhaps even too disillusioned to connect with something that once felt so natural, so vital. This isn't about guilt or judgment. It's about understanding the quiet battles waged within us, the subtle shifts in our hearts that can make prayer feel like a chore instead of a lifeline. Maybe you've been pouring out your heart for so long, the words have begun to feel hollow, the silence on the other end deafening. Or perhaps the sheer volume of life's demands has squeezed out the space for stillness, leaving you feeling spiritually parched and disconnected. The reasons are as varied and deeply personal as we are. The truth is, prayer isn't always about grand pronouncements or eloquent petitions. It's not about performing some spiritual ritual or ticking off a box on a to-do list. It's about connection, about presence, about showing up even when, especially when we don't feel like it. It's about acknowledging our humanity, our doubts, our struggles, and offering them up, raw and unfiltered, to something greater than ourselves. Think of it like this. Have you ever visited a friend even when you were exhausted or overwhelmed? You might not have felt like socializing, but the act of connecting, of simply being present, often brought unexpected comfort and strength. Prayer can be like that, a deliberate act of reaching out, even when your spirit feels heavy, knowing that the connection itself can be transformative. This journey isn't about forcing yourself into some preconceived notion of what prayer should be. It's about rediscovering the heart of prayer, the essence of connection, and finding ways to nurture that connection even when the feelings aren't there. It's about understanding the psychological and emotional barriers that can hinder our spiritual lives and learning practical tools to overcome them. It's about embracing the messy, imperfect reality of faith and finding grace in the midst of it all. We'll explore the common reasons why we lose the desire to pray, delving into the psychological factors that can contribute to this spiritual disconnect. We'll examine practical strategies for reigniting that spark, for making prayer a sustainable and meaningful part of your life, even when you're feeling unmotivated. This is an invitation to explore a deeper, more authentic relationship with prayer, one that is rooted in honesty, compassion, and a genuine desire for connection. It's about finding your way back to a practice that can bring comfort, strength, and guidance, even in the midst of life's storms. Now, consider how this applies when you face the crushing weight of disappointment. When prayers for healing go unanswered, or dreams dissolve before your eyes, it's easy to feel abandoned, to question the very foundation of your faith. This isn't merely a lack of motivation. It's a profound emotional wound. The disappointment acts as a barrier, a filter through which all future attempts at prayer are viewed. The mind, seeking to protect itself from further pain, subtly discourages engagement, whispering doubts and fostering resentment. It begins to feel as though you're talking to a wall, expending precious energy with no return. The psychological principle at play here is often rooted in what's known as cognitive dissonance. We hold a belief that prayer is effective, that it brings comfort, that it connects us to a higher power, and then we experience something that contradicts that belief. The resulting mental discomfort can be so intense that we unconsciously avoid the source of the dissonance, which, in this case, is prayer itself. This is further compounded if we've been taught to associate prayer with guaranteed outcomes, rather than with a process of connection and surrender. Conversely, sometimes the resistance to prayer stems not from disappointment, but from a deeply ingrained sense of unworthiness. Perhaps past experiences have led to a belief that you are somehow fundamentally flawed, undeserving of grace or assistance. This can manifest as a feeling that your prayers are tainted, that they lack the purity required to be heard or answered. It's akin to feeling perpetually in debt, believing you have nothing of value to offer in return. This sense of inadequacy can be particularly potent if you've been raised in an environment where judgment and condemnation were prevalent. Another crucial layer is the impact of trauma. For individuals who have experienced significant trauma, whether it be emotional, physical, or spiritual, prayer can become associated with feelings of vulnerability and powerlessness. The act of opening oneself up, of laying bare one's deepest fears and desires, can trigger traumatic memories and sensations, leading to a subconscious avoidance of prayer. It's as if the mind is trying to protect itself from reliving the pain, even if the prayer itself is not inherently harmful. Furthermore, the modern world, with its constant demands and distractions, presents a unique set of challenges to prayer. The relentless influx of information, the pressure to achieve and succeed, and the pervasive sense of busyness can all contribute to a feeling of spiritual emptiness. We become so focused on external pursuits that we neglect our inner lives, leaving little time or energy for prayer. It's like trying to cultivate a garden in a desert. The conditions are simply not conducive to growth. Building on this, however, it's important to recognize that sometimes the resistance to prayer is simply a matter of habit. If prayer has become a rote exercise, a series of empty words repeated without genuine feeling, it's natural to lose interest. The mind craves novelty and engagement, and if prayer fails to provide that, it will inevitably be relegated to the realm of the mundane. It's like eating the same meal every day. Eventually, even your favorite dish will lose its appeal. The key lies in finding ways to inject freshness and vitality into your prayer life, to rediscover the joy and wonder that once drew you to it. Reflecting on this journey so far, we begin to perceive a tapestry woven from the threads of human experience, each strand representing a unique challenge in our relationship with prayer. It's a landscape not of stark pronouncements, but of nuanced understanding, recognizing the intricate interplay between our emotional states, psychological predispositions, and the very act of seeking connection. We see that the resistance to prayer isn't a singular entity, but a multifaceted response to the complexities of life, a signal perhaps that something within us needs tending, needs acknowledging. The insights we've gathered paint a picture far removed from simple willpower or the lack thereof. Instead, they reveal a delicate ecosystem within, where past hurts, present anxieties, and future uncertainties all converge, influencing our capacity to open ourselves to the possibility of something greater. It's as if we're navigating a labyrinth, each turn presenting a new obstacle, a new question, a new opportunity for self-discovery. The path isn't always linear, and there are moments when we may feel lost or disoriented, unsure of which way to turn. Consider the image of a river, its flow sometimes smooth and serene, at other times turbulent and raging. Our prayer life can be similar, reflecting the ebb and flow of our emotional landscape. There are times when the connection feels effortless, a gentle current carrying us along, and there are times when we encounter rapids, when doubt and disillusionment threaten to overwhelm us. The key lies not in resisting the turbulence, but in learning to navigate it, in finding ways to stay afloat even when the waters are rough. Drawing these observations together, we start to appreciate the profound importance of self-compassion in this process. It's about recognizing that we are all imperfect beings, prone to doubt, fear, and moments of disconnection. It's about extending the same grace and understanding to ourselves that we would offer to a dear friend struggling with similar challenges. Forcing ourselves into a rigid mold, demanding unwavering faith, only serves to exacerbate the problem, creating a cycle of guilt and self-recrimination. In light of these perceptions, the possibility of reclaiming a meaningful prayer life emerges not as a monumental task, but as a series of small, intentional steps. It's about dismantling the barriers, brick by brick, and creating space for a more authentic and compassionate connection. It's about shifting our focus from the should to the could, from the obligation to the opportunity, from the expectation of perfection to the acceptance of imperfection. As we pivot towards the final reflection, let us consider the idea of prayer not as a destination, but as a journey, a continuous exploration of our inner landscape and our relationship with the divine. It's a journey that requires patience, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. It's a journey where the destination is not as important as the process itself, the act of showing up, of offering ourselves, even when we feel empty or uninspired. The heart of the matter lies in discovering how to make that journey a source of strength, comfort, and renewed hope, even in the face of life's inevitable challenges. So, where does this leave us, standing at the threshold of renewed connection, perhaps a little less burdened by expectation and a little more open to possibility? It leaves us, I believe, with a profound understanding that the absence of feeling isn't the absence of grace. It's not a sign that the line has gone dead, but rather an invitation to explore a different mode of communication, a different way of being present. It suggests that sometimes the most powerful prayers aren't the ones filled with fervent words, but the silent offerings of a weary heart, the simple act of showing up when every fiber of your being wants to turn away. Think of a gardener tending to a dormant seed. They don't berate the seed for not sprouting immediately. They patiently water the soil, protect it from the harsh elements, and trust in the inherent potential within. Our prayer life can be like that, a quiet tending to the seeds of faith within us, even when we see no visible signs of growth. It's about creating the conditions for connection, trusting that in time, the seeds will sprout, even if the timing isn't our own. Perhaps the most significant shift we can make is to redefine what prayer means to us. Instead of viewing it as a transaction, a request for favors, or a performance of piety, we can embrace it as a form of contemplative presence, a space for quiet listening, a sanctuary for the soul. It's about acknowledging our limitations, accepting our imperfections, and offering our whole selves, vulnerabilities and all, to something larger than ourselves. It's about finding solace in the silence, strength in the stillness, and hope in the face of despair. The journey back to prayer, when the desire has waned, isn't about forcing a feeling, but about fostering a relationship. It's about nurturing the soil of your soul, pulling the weeds of doubt and resentment, and planting seeds of hope and self-compassion. It's about remembering that you are not alone in this struggle, that countless others have walked this path before you, and that there is grace and strength to be found in the shared human experience. And so, as we draw to a close, consider this. The truest act of faith isn't always the grand declaration, but the quiet persistence, the unwavering commitment to showing up, even when the feelings are absent. It's about trusting that even in the silence, even in the darkness, you are not forgotten. The true practice begins now, not with a demand for immediate transformation, but with a gentle willingness to begin again, to offer yourself, just as you are, to the possibility of renewed connection. May you find peace and strength on your journey, and may your heart be open to the whispers of grace that are always present, even when they are hard to hear.